Attention, please.
And now, it's Cutter's Rockcast.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you, honey?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It's we had like a crazy like tornado watch last night. It was like nuts. It missed us, but it was like intense. We had to shut down the studio and everything. It was nuts.
The weather's nutty. We had an ice storm, so we got
Really?
that going for us in spring.
I know, right?
I don't know. I said on the air this morning on my morning show, it's 11th winter. Welcome to 11th winter.
Yeah, welcome to the 11th winter. Yes. Make up your mind.
Because it's louder than the other winters.
Yes,
so it's the 11th winter. All right.
That is awesome.
There you go. Lzzy, thank you so much, and it's so good to see you.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Always. A woman, who truly needs no introduction if you've been listening to rock and roll music over the course of the last 2 decades. Yes, I said 2 decades, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. She's the lead singer of Halestorm. She is sometimes the lead singer of Skid Row. She's a guest singer on literally everybody's albums. Country, hard rock, classic rock, new rock, heavy metal, doesn't matter, all of it. Her name is Lzzy Hale. Lzzy, thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful 11th winter, second morning. I don't know. It's Monday.
It's Monday today. I'll air this on Tuesday.
Oh.
But you're very welcome.
It's Tuesday.
Lzzy, you've been everywhere lately, it feels like. Like every time I open a news website, I go on YouTube, I go anywhere, there's Lzzy Hale's wonderful face and her amazing voice. Singing, performing, talking, you're everywhere lately. Do you sleep?
You know what? I don't. It's
you're a vampire. I knew it.
Pretty much. I don't know. I'm an odd chick. Like I'll have like a lot of sleep like one night, and then the next night I'll be like just wired and doing stuff, and then the guys will be just like, "Why are you still up at 3 a.m?" But I don't know. I mean, it takes about 20 years for an overnight success, I think. But I'm so proud of the fact that I've been doing it for so long. I've been in this band since I was 13. We've been the same 4 members since for 22 years.
Which I'm going to pause you just for one second. And I understand that your brother's the drummer, and that helps.
Oh, yeah.
But amazing. 22 years is the same lineup. We can't keep bands together for 6 months, let alone 22 years. I mean, like, what's the secret, Lzzy? Like, how?
I've been trying actually to figure that out because there's a couple different theories from our fans. Like one is more cosmic there, because in all honesty, if anybody's interested in that stuff, I go in and out of it because I have a lot of friends that are interested in that. But they pointed out to me a couple of years ago that my birthday, Joe's birthday, Josh's birthday, and RJ's birthday is wind, water, fire, earth. So there's that. Maybe there's some kind of cosmic thing. But to be
with
honest,
the powers combined, Captain
with our powers, Captain Planet,
he's our hero.
but really, I mean, for us, it's the love of what we do, and trust in each other. Like we truly do love each other, and we trust each other that, every time we go into a situation or we step on stage, we hold hands and we jump off this proverbial cliff. And we hope we packed our parachutes right, and we trust that we're all in it for the right reasons. And there's something to that as well, because the longer that you go as a band, the more beautiful it gets. It gets harder too, but the beautiful thing about it is that you realize that nobody on earth, nobody living right now, will ever know you as much as your bandmates do. Like my bandmates know me better than my own family does. It's almost like every time we like go home for Christmas or like have a Thanksgiving thing, I'm having to like reintroduce myself to my aunts and my uncles. They're like, oh yeah, but I'm still doing that thing, the music thing. Are
you still singing in that rock and roll band?
Yeah, but no, I love my guys, and the craziest thing is that you live a couple different lifetimes together. Like when we're in our 20s, it was like everything was so new, and we like freshly signed. We're going on tour. We're opening for first of 4 bands, on whatever tour, and then we've gotten some recognition and success, and as the pressures of that kind of come in, I know for me, in my mid 30s, I was like the fame happened kind of in a way that it kind of snuck up on me, and I felt like I had to be the hero all the time, and that got me a little depressed. And the guys were like, hey, we're here for you. You do not have to carry this weight on your own. And it was like, oh my God, thank you. Because it, like, things get messy, but the fact that I have these boys and they understand the big picture. And I mean, the world could burn and we would be fine because we have each other. So I know that sounds cheesy, but it's like, that's truly kind of where we're at. Now we're in this like midlife as a band, and we're about to release an album, and we're in rehearsals every day, going over everything. And it's just, we're super excited about that. It's like, oh, now new things, new adventure,
I don't think it's cheesy. I think it's inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
In all honesty, I mean, it's to be able to hear that from people, because sometimes people just don't get along. Okay, it happens, but the fact that you've been able to do that and make a career and do this thing where, yes, we hear it all the time, and and I've played in bands in and out all my entire life. It is that sort of, it's a different relationship to be in a band, especially an original band, especially a successful one, you're living together for 9-10 months out of the year. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about it 2 days ago. We were laughing our asses off because we've been recording all of our rehearsals, and Joe decided to record some of his farts in rehearsal, and it was like, we're all it's like RG's about to be 37, we're all like 40, 41, and I'm like, this is a combination of the Goonies and like Lord of the Flies and like Hook with the Lost Boys. Like, I swear to God, it's like we are mature when we need to be, but sometimes you need that comic relief.
Absolutely, you do.
Yeah.
Please tell me that shows up on an album somewhere.
I am
some sort of remix thing. There's a drum breakdown and just
I am sure that will happen. In all honesty, what was the album? Oh, it was our last reimagined EP that we kind of reimagined some of our old songs and made them new. And there is something, I forget which track it was, we put it into like the drum groove or something, because Joe was playing acoustic and just like we like couldn't do anything about it, just kind of ripped one. And our engineer,
a great take, just leave it.
Yeah, and our engineer like started looping it into the little tracks. We're like, okay, we should just as that quote unquote Easter egg, So, yeah.
Hey, speaking of that reimagined EP, this conversation has come up a lot recently, because I do a classic rock morning show now, and then I still have my new rock show in the Cutting Edge Countdown. But what is classic rock? For whatever reason, that conversation keeps coming up. You did this reimagined EP, but Halestorm has also done 3 EPs of cover songs.
Yes.
Covering everything from Dolly Parton to Skid Row to Metallica to Daft Punk and everything in between. What is your take on that? Just as a musician, as a singer who's done classic rock songs, who's now been a part of a classic rock band, Halestorm's now been together for over 2 decades. Like, what if somebody were to ask you, well, what makes a song a classic rock song? What would your answer be, out of curiosity?
A classic rock song to me is more than like, people call it dad rock. People call it, it's like, that time of music. But for me, classic rock is what's missing in a lot of what's happening in today's rock. And I'm not knocking anybody or yucking anybody's yum, but for us personally, classic rock is that human element, that before there were tracks, before everybody was miming, before everybody was striving after perfection, you had to have the love of what you do. You had to have the trust of your bandmates, like we talked before. And then you had to kind of jump off the cliff. You have to take the risk, either in the studio or live, and say, okay, we're going to be good as people, not just, hey, we're going to dance around to tape and make everything look amazing. And like I said, I have a lot of friends that do that, and that's their MO. But for us, when we end up doing those cover EPs, we're trying to not only recreate a feeling that we got from listening to this song, like, you know, when we were kids. We all grew up on a lot of classic rock because our dads are we're very much into that. So,
Right.
so, you know, you almost are trying to recreate this feeling that you had when you first listened to it. But also as a musician, by learning your favorite songs and by trying to figure out how you're going to do your twist on them, you learn a lot as a musician, and you learn a lot about yourself. And then for us as Halestorm, there's a little method to the madness, because usually one or two of those songs will be like our favorite cover to do. And then we'll be like, how do we write an original like this? How do we make an original sound like this? For instance, when we did the Skid Row cover, Slave to the Grind, I ended up you know, sitting down with the guys and being like, we need something with this tempo. We don't have anything in our set list with this type of, you know, tempo. And we ended up writing Love Bites. So, you know, I'm a firm believer that like everything you do helps everything else you do. Like if you have a mission, it's going to like leach its way into all these other things that make you happy, and then kind of become whatever your next thing is. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I have to constantly be like searching for, you know, new inspiration, or just being wowed by something. I can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is a reason why we switch up our set list every night. We don't do the same set, not just to, you know, give back to the fans and be like, okay, if you come to this show, you're not going to see the same show the next night, because we have people that come and see 8 shows in a row. But for us, it doesn't become boring, and it keeps us on our toes. So yeah, I don't know. That's for me. That's what it
I like
is about.
that. Yeah, no, I like that. And I think you make a lot of sense there. Since you mentioned Slave to the Grind, how did you end up becoming the lead singer of Skid Row for a minute?
You know what? It really wasn't that official. It was, I was at a birthday party. It was Nick Raskulinec's birthday party, who he was the producer of Vicious and Back from the Dead and a couple EPs of ours. And Rachel is also a friend of Nick's, and he's done a bunch of Skid Row recordings as well. And so I'm eating cake, and I'm talking to Rachel Bolan, and you know, and he's
As
like,
you
hey,
do.
as you do on a Saturday night. And he turns to me, he says, hey, how would you feel about performing with Skid Row sometime? And I'm like, I'm dumb. I'm like, wait, you mean like Halestorm and Skid Row? That sounds like fun. He's like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He's like, would you actually front the band for a couple days? And I said, oh, well, I mean, I'd love to. What's happening? He's like, well, we're having some stuff going down with our lead singer, and we have these dates to fill. And so I said, well, you know, let me call up my people and see what your dates are, and see if I can clear the calendar and make that happen, just because he's a friend. I want to help him out. And also, like, man, that would be so much fun. So,
Right.
so I did, I cleared the calendar. I made sure that we could do it. And then they announced it. Right. And all of a sudden it became so much more than just a friend helping a friend and us doing something together. It became this event. I started hearing from people that I hadn't heard from for like 15 years back on the East Coast, like, oh my God, I'm bringing my daughter. And, and it just like, and then I called my dad, and my dad's like, dude, I remember you blasting Slave to the Grind, that album, in like 1996 when you were like 11. How does this feel? And I'm like, you know what? Before you said that, Dad, I was not nervous at all. And now I'm really nervous. But it was great. I mean, it was like boot camp. I wanted to honor all the songs, make sure I'm hitting all the notes. So I like put myself through that. And then we got to the first gig, and we did 4 shows. And the amazing thing is that there were 2 distinct crowds, like the people that came to the show. It was the diehard, I've been seeing, Skid Row since 1987. And then it was the Halestorm girls, the Halestorm fans, these Halestorm young women that were coming in their Halestorm shirts with their dads, because became like a daddy-daughter date. So it was just like so amazing. And I was
cool.
I was on stage, and I had a realization, because I'm like, man, the only thing I realized, that when I was a kid, the only thing that I wanted to be was that dressed up like a girl in the Skid Row music video. Like, I was like living out my teenage fantasy. So it was really cool. And it was kind of bittersweet, because we ended it and we all wanted to continue, but like, I'm not going to do two bands at once. We were
No.
about to, finish up the record and all this stuff. And so it was kind of sweet. Their manager was like, "Are you sure you can't do both and you can't stay? Like, we want to just have you as the singer." And I'm like, "Oh, I would love to, but I'm married, get to my band." So it was really neat to just, have, I don't know. I was nervous about pulling it off, and then to have that kind of recognition and that kind of respect from these men that literally raised me inadvertently. Like, I would not be the rocker that I am today without them. So it was such a wonderful experience.
And the reviews were fantastic, as I think us as fans knew they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, you did
and
great.
then sorry, I actually, I don't think I've actually told anybody this. So then we were at Aftershock, the festival, and I walked up to Dimebag's wife, and she's like, "Hey, I heard from Sebastian Bach," and I'm like, "Uh-oh," because I hadn't talked to Sebastian since then. Like, he and I have talked over the years. Like, he's always been great to me, but I was
Yeah.
like worried that, like, now I'm going to be on like a naughty list because I played with his band. And he's like, "I showed him the videos of you performing," and he's like, "Guess what he said?" I'm like, "Uh-oh, what?" And he said, apparently, Bach said, "Oh, I hate those guys, but she's freaking great." And I'm like, "Okay, whoo," so I'm keeping the peace between the two. But
He's the best. I had Sebastian Bach on the show. Sebastian was doing a Christmas concert for us, of all things, rock and roll Christmas though.
that's awesome.
And at the exact same time that you were doing that stuff, and I almost, because obviously we have a very long history, and I've known Sebastian for a long time too, being in and out of the classic rock world. I'm like, I almost asked him, and I chickened out. I'm like, no, we got to sell tickets for this concert. I'm not going to even go there right now because I don't know. That's the thing about him. I never know how he's going to react on things.
Yeah.
It's like one moment it could be like, oh my God, he's going to hate that. And he's like, dude, greatest thing ever. And the next moment he's like, what? I don't know. So anyway.
That's just the way he is, though. The first time I met him,
know.
we were in Japan, and he was talking about how, like, Atlantic Records never liked Slave to the Grind, but we're on Atlantic Records and we got to cover their song. And he like pulled up a knife and he's like, "Oh, screw Atlantic Records," and like his bass player was like, "Put down the knife." And then he looks at my pants, and then immediately afterward he looks at my pants. I was wearing these like latex leather pants, and he's snapping my pants. He's like, "Are these in now? Because I got a pair of these from like 1982. I can still fit in them too." And I'm like, I just want to invite Sebastian to any party just to see what happens.
Right? Oh, he's that guy. There's no doubt about it. Speaking of that, just really quick, because I know you guys are in Nashville and you've been there for a long time. But how do you end up doing versions of Boot Scoot and Boogie? And now, earlier this month, Life is a Highway from Rascal Flatts, their cover of the old Tom Cochrane song from Cars, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. So Boot Scoot and Boogie was awesome. We literally got an email out of the blue from Brooks and Dunn saying, "Hey, we're putting together this thing. There's no rules. Don't just cover the song, make it your own. And then we'll see you in the studio." and so we spent like I think like 2 days kind of figuring it out, because it was kind of like, right after the fact. And then we went to Blackbird Studio here in Nashville, and we just thought we were going to be with Dan Huff, the producer. Like, we just thought we were going to get in and like record the song and go get lunch or something. And we walked in, and not only was there Brooks and Dunn there, but they had their manager, this guy named Juice, that like makes sure that Ronnie Dunn has all his lyrics, and they're like tour manager chick. And so I didn't know we were going to have an audience, but we ended up so like we were like, "Oh my God, okay, this is great to meet you." And then the producer's like, "Okay, let's do this thing." And so we literally were performing it for the first time ever, like in front of them, and just kind of ran through and like recorded kind of a live version. And and they gave us like a standing ovation. And then Ronnie was like, he's like, "Dude, I was high on mushrooms the other day, and I was trying to imagine what you guys were going to do. And I swear, I knew it was going to be some kind of like Janis Joplin meets Metallica thing." He's like, you guys just nailed it." And then we did this like interview afterward, and they're like, "Man, you're gonna have to teach me how to sing like that. That is not in my wheelhouse. It's like it was just so beautiful. It was like
That's awesome.
I love those men so much. And and as far as the life is a highway, I mean, same thing. The weirdest thing is that at this point in time in my life, I'm no longer asking for things. All of a sudden, like
They're
I don't
reaching
know,
out to you.
call it whatever. Like it's all of a sudden there's like, hey, you don't know me, but would you ever do something with me? And so like then I have to have like a meeting, like, is this for real? And what's going on? And like, do you guys know this person? And so that was amazing too. And nobody told me after I recorded Life as a Highway that I was going to be in the company on this album of Kelly Clarkson and Backstreet Boys and Jonas Brothers and all of these like pop people. So it's truly an honor that I am, for some reason, at this time in my life, not just kind of beholden to my own genre, that people are kind of using me for, as my own entity, and almost I'm being kind of a representative of rock and metal, even when I'm the only one on the list. So
I love it.
it's really amazing. Yeah.
It's a testament to, I think, what not only you have done, but obviously what Halestorm has become, and again, the last 20 years as sort of, one of the quintessential hard rock bands in the genre and in the world, really.
Oh, thank you. If you had told my 13-year-old self that in '97, I would have been like, "No way, you're on something, buddy." So thank
Oh,
you.
trust me. I get it. If I would have told my 13-year-old self that someday that radio station you're listening to, you're going to be doing the morning show, I'd have been like,
Yeah.
get out of your goddamn mind.
That's so
Whatever.
beautiful. I'm so glad that you have that, and that you actually like hold that and think about that, because it's truly incredible when you think like, because like when you're a kid, I'm going to paraphrase kind of a Joe Walsh quote, but it's really true, because like when you're in it and you're hustling and everything, it just seems like chaos. It seems like I don't have the answers, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And
Mhm.
then we're both at this vantage point where we can kind of look back and be like, wow, all that stuff is almost kind of meant to be. Like all the plans that didn't work out, I'm so glad they didn't work out, because it opened up these other opportunities, and
Right.
now I'm here, so it's
That's something
pretty cool.
my wife and I were actually just talking about that the other day because we're kind of laughing and we're still newlyweds. But
Congrats.
we're thank you. We were kind of laughing how our lives. She's in TV news and radio, and you sort of have the same kind of world as far as you're in one place for a couple of years and then you go to the next place, and the goal
Yeah.
trying to build your career a little bit bigger. But myself also as a musician, I was also always thinking about that. Okay, but where do I get to play music too?
Yeah.
Um, and then also as a father. So, I would do it with my kids. So I ended up staying here, and it worked out because instead of going to, Colorado Springs or going to,
Yeah.
hell, I got a job offer in Anchorage once. I'm like, weird, but okay. Or I almost took a job in Vermont once. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
but I
Yeah.
didn't. I ended up staying in my hometown the entire time and end up on this, on a radio station you end up growing up with and still be able to do, the things that we all love to do. You're right. You're right. It is interesting looking back at that vantage point and going, okay, well, I hated it then, but this is
Yeah.
pretty awesome now.
Great. That's awesome. Anchorage. Ooh.
Yeah.
We've been up there a couple times, and it's really awesome. Like the rock shows are amazing because it feels like the entirety of Alaska is out there. But
Well, I
but
was
I
doing
don't.
so I do the syndicated show, the Cutting Edge Countdown, of course, but I was doing one
Yeah.
back in the day for classic metal,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was
Okay.
on a radio station in Anchorage, and that's how they knew me, and that's why they had reached out. But I'm like, I remember I'd watch tour dates, and it'd be like once or twice a year there'd be an Anchorage date would show up. So I
Yeah.
do wonder, to your point, if like there's only a handful of concerts that really come through town, so yeah, it becomes this huge event.
Yeah, it's awesome. But like even with us, we've played. I think it's like 3 times we've been up there, and it's wonderful. The people are great. The food is awesome. We always go like fishing or hiking, and
Yeah.
you know, somebody falls in the water. It happens. Usually RJ. But yeah, it's tough. Like I feel bad for people that live there, because I'm like, man, I couldn't go that long without seeing a concert. It's like I'm still a concert junkie. I'm like, I need a gig, even if it's not mine. Put it in the arm.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Speaking of concerts and touring, obviously, later this year going on tour with Volbeat. And there is a Hailstorm record done.
Yes. Yes, it's literally we're getting mixes back as we speak. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll
Was
have
it
some
just a little nugget,
little
Lzzy,
nugget.
just a little nugget. Just what does it sound like? What's because Back from the Dead was a pretty aggressive album.
Man, it's really hard to describe this one. We did the record with Dave Cobb, which is a new producer for us. It his ADHD mixed very well with our ADHD. It was like squirrel go, but we didn't do it traditionally the way we always do these albums. First day we walked in, and I always have like whatever a ton of like half written songs or full written songs or here's a riff or whatever. So you come in with your bag of tricks. And Dave Koff says, "Oh, we're not going to do any of that." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "We're not doing demos. Like, I hate demos. What we're going to do is we're going to start and we're going to write. And as we're writing, we're recording at the same time." So that's what we did. We first day, the first day, we actually ended up writing our first single that'll be coming out soon. But we started, okay, like who's got a line? I have this that I thought of yesterday. Cool, that'll work. Let's go. Set up the drums, set up the guitar. Here's the vocals. And so we would be recording while we were writing it, and then we would get done and we would move on the next day. And so there are songs that don't even have a click track to them or a guide because we forgot. And then there are
It's just a happy little accident.
Yeah, and then there's so many different elements of songs that we used to write when we were kids, but obviously, like as adults, a lot of that feeling. It was kind of an emotional roller coaster. There's also, I think, some of the heaviest songs we've ever written on there. Some really beautiful mid tempos. A lot of personalities that I've always wanted to kind of put on a record. But I never really had the freedom or time to, because usually when we do a Halestorm record, it's like, okay, we have to have all the songs picked. We have to have them rehearsed. We go in and kind of like do it like an assembly line. Like, okay, you do, do the bass, do the drums, do the guitar, do the vocals, and we're good. So there's no time to like really like sit with things before they're like, okay, we've already decided we're going to do that. And so the freedom and kind of the nerve-wracking kind of element of the fact that there wasn't really a plan ended up being the special sauce on this album, because we were just chasing everything that got us excited. And if it wasn't a hell yeah, it was a hell no. So there's nothing on there on this album that we don't feel complete ownership over. There's nothing on this album that anybody forced us to do. There's nothing on this album that isn't part of our personalities. And it was just, I don't know, it's kind of this, my bass player said it yesterday. He's like, it's kind of like this long road to the beginning. And because all of the guys at one point in time said, this really feels like we're back in our parents' basement again. And we're hustling and we're trying to figure out how to write songs on the radio. But we have all this knowledge now. So everything ended up coming together so incredibly well. But it was almost like the reverse, that the music was telling us what to do and not us trying to like shoehorn anything in. So I'm telling you, man, it is the most Halestorm record we've ever done. It is the first time in the 20 years we've been on Atlantic Records that we have not felt lorded over in regarding to making records, because usually it's like time crunch. Somebody's always like there being like, oh, we can't do that. Oh, you probably shouldn't say that. Oh, what about this thing? And that kind of thing. So it usually becomes like a project, like a group project. But for us, we were when we didn't do it in Nashville, we did it in Savannah, Georgia, locked in a house in the middle of nowhere next to a river. And I can't tell you, like the guys and I would wake up like around 11:30 a.m. We would start recording and we wouldn't stop. We wouldn't stop until like 4 a.m. And then we would annoy the hell out of the engineer who was trying to sleep, with like playing on like the Prophet keyboard and coming up with weird stuff. But like we were unsupervised in the best way, and it was all about who are we now? Who were we then? This is our story. This is for me, when I listen to this album, it's my personal opus. All the things that I've gone through in my life, both, dark and not. There's more questions than answers. It's not just me giving myself a pep talk like I'm the fire and I'm back from the dead. It's like I'm dealing with a lot of my reality and a lot of the reality of the world and in my own way. And then it's also our story as a band, and you can really hear it in the music and in the lyrics. So I'm so excited for people to hear it. And it's to the point where like I don't even really care if anybody likes it, because I think this is, all four of us are like, this is our favorite album we've ever done. So
So the name of it, I'm just gonna write that down. The name of the new Halestorm album is called Our Story.
Just put it out there.
Due out in September.
I can't give you all my secrets.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I made that up. That's not true. I don't even know. But we look forward to it. So Out on the Road with Volbeat, I mentioned that before. Really quick, before I wrap up this conversation with you, Lzzy, Black Sabbath. Back to the beginning. Yes. You are one of the myriad of a million bands that are on this show that's taking place in Birmingham, England, the birthplace of heavy metal. I didn't make that up. I say that because Rob Halford told me it was the birthplace of heavy metal. And if Rob Halford tells me something, I'm going to take it at its word. Yes. And that is true. But it is. I mean, obviously that's where Black Sabbath came from. That's where Judas Priest came from. But Black Sabbath, back to the beginning, in Birmingham, England, this July. Quick takeaway on the fact that you guys get to be a part of this.
So we got an email from Sharon Osbourne herself asking us to be a part of it. That's always
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and I didn't answer it for 2 days because I was like, what is this? And is this real? And
is this a scam?
What's going on?
Is she asking for $100 in iTunes gift card?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we realized that they wanted us on this show. We're doing basically a set, and then we're also doing a Black Sabbath cover. Tom Morello is the musical director for the entire event. So he and I talked shortly after that email, which was nerve-wracking in itself as well, because I'm like, hey, Tom, even we've met before and everything, but it's like, it's Tom, he's amazing. And he's like, hey girl, you like, I'm dealing with a lot of crazy, people in this whole event. Like, are you ready to, just kind of take anything I throw at you? And I'm like, hell yes, boy, I'm here for you. So, so we worked out a set, and then, just a few months ago, I was informed by Sharon that I am the only woman there that was asked to be a part of this. Which,
wait, really?
Which I don't necessarily know if that's true, because I'll figure it out when I get there. There's got to be somebody else, but I'll do a little recon. But it's but that's an honor in itself. But for me, so when I first started getting into rock and metal, my ABCs were Alice Cooper. It was Alice Cooper, Black Sabbath, Cinderella, and Dio. That's what I was listening to in 6th and 7th grade, much to the chagrin of all of my little girlfriends, because they were listening to Backstreet Boys and all that stuff at the time. So I was a little alien chick. Nobody understood me. But this is like an unfathomable dream. It's something that I would have never, like nobody could ever tell me, like, oh, one day you might be playing with Black Sabbath. Nobody could ever tell me that, because I'd be like, you're crazy. That will never happen, because it was just too impossible for my brain to even conceptualize this. So right. The fact that this is a reality, and I get to go up there, and not only play, a few original songs, but then perform a Black Sabbath cover, and hang out with all these people. And Tom was talking about me doing a duet with somebody, and so we're still working that out. But it's like, it's crazy. It's almost like this is the year where, I'm in the most respectable way, I'm killing my idols. I'm now not just this fan that loves listening to these albums and was influenced by Ozzy and influenced by these people. Mm-hmm. But now I get to be part of them. I get to be, it's like Almost Famous. And now I'm one of them, and I'm sorry, Rockstar. And now, I got these posters of these guys on my wall, and now I'm one of them.
One of them.
but it's really amazing. It's one of those, I don't know. I'll never forget it. No matter what happens, even if, whatever, I fall off the stage and something goes horribly wrong, I'll never forget the fact that I'm actually able to be there and to celebrate these men who literally think about how many bands would not exist without Black Sabbath, without their influence. Our whole genre
would
would be
not
gone.
look the way it was if it existed at all.
Yeah. So it's true. It's truly an honor. And the funny thing that the boys and I were talking about this the other day is that this is kind of a bookending situation for us, because when in 2009, we opened up for Heaven and Hell with Ronnie James Dio when he was in Sabbath, and that ended up being Ronnie's last show before he was diagnosed and then he passed away. And so the fact that we're able to kind of be there for Black Sabbath's last show, for Ozzy's last show, and celebrate, in the best way, and be surrounded by all of these people that feel just like you, about this band is just incredible. Again, full circle events.
Double checking the list of people announced performing, Lzzy Hale is the only woman on this list.
Seriously. Okay. I was taking for their word, but you never know. That's awesome. I mean, I'll be there, ladies. I'm representing for all of us, because all of my peers in this genre, all my sisters of Scream, we've all been influenced by Sabbath. And we were the girls that would come into guitar lessons and be like, I want to learn, this or that. Oh, girls don't do that. Girls don't learn Black Sabbath things. What about some Goo Goo Dolls, And it's like, that literally happened to me in a guitar lesson when I was 16. But it's like, I know, like women want to rage, like if anything, we have a lot to rage about, and this music has given us an outlet to do so. I will be very proud to represent all of my fellow sisters up there on that stage.
Lzzy, about let's see, it's 2025, so about 8 years ago probably, you took a bracelet off your wrist and you gave it to my daughter during her performance at Rock USA. She still has that to this day. She loses everything else, but she still has that to this day. This weekend, I was chauffeuring her and her friends around for her sweet 16th birthday party.
Nice.
And we were listening to Ghost, Faith No More, and Mr. Bungle.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
16-year-old girls.
That is awesome. I love that so much.
Geeks, and that's what we were listening to.
And that proves that music has no age. It's like, it's all about when you discover it, because those girls are discovering that for the first time and being like, this is amazing. And it doesn't matter whether it came out, decades ago. That's awesome.
Now, don't get me wrong, they still love Chappell Roan. I'm just saying those were the requests that were happening in the vehicle.
I'm so proud. Please, you'll have to tell her I say hello, and I'm so happy she didn't lose that bracelet. That's amazing.
When our friend Adrock texted me on Friday afternoon and said, "Hey, can you talk to Lzzy on Monday?" I was sitting right next to my kids, and I go, "Oh," and I did voice to text. And, yes, of course I can talk to Lzzy on Monday at any point, actually, because it's Lzzy Hale. I'm going to say yes, because it's going to be a great conversation, and we're going to take the time to do it. But both my kids went, "You're going to talk to Halestorm?" Anyway.
That's awesome.
Lzzy,
I love that.
Lzzy, thank you so much for this, as always. You're always a pleasure to speak to, and I can't wait to see you again soon.
Oh, I can't wait to see you too, darling. And thank you so much for taking the time with me. This has been quite soul filling for me. So I hope you have a great Monday, and I'll talk to you soon. If you need anything, you know where to find me.
Cutter's Rockcast.
Don't forget to tune in. Exactly.